Welcome to Hoteliers Voice, Last Mile Revenue. How the Q Hotels Collection are securing extra guest spend on property with their partner Frontline Performance Group. With Gail Peters, Head of Revenue Management, and Geoffrey Toffetti, CEO. The Q Hotels Collection comprises of a portfolio of 19 hotels and resorts located across Great Britain. The collection features health clubs, spas, championship golf resorts, restaurants, and bars. With over 20 years' experience within hospitality, Gail has built her career across operations, front office, and reservations, working with both UK and global brands. Geoffrey Toffetti, CEO of Frontline Performance Group, works with over 3,000 hotels worldwide, helping independents, regional groups, and international brands like Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt turn service teams into revenue drivers. In this episode, we'll find out what is last mile revenue, how to integrate that within the existing team, and how to drive performance.
Hoteliers Voice. Exploring opportunity in hospitality with Ryan Haynes. Hear from the people making a difference. From revenue to operations, marketing to digitalization. Learn the thinking behind their decisions.
Hello, Gail. Thanks ever so much for joining us today. So, we just heard that 19 hotels are within your portfolio. Tell us a bit more about the collection.
Sure, yes. We have got, as you say, 19 four-star properties, which are hotels and resorts across the UK, travelling from Scotland all the way down to Kent. And we are properties that have a great mixture of facilities. So we cater for leisure stays, for business stays, weddings and events. And we are there to provide memorable experiences. And we're focusing on characters, the local characters, and also on service.
So each of these properties really have quite their own unique charm and offering.
They certainly do, yes. We have halls and resort properties, which, yes, have lots of different characters and facilities, and also lots of different bedrooms, which we will talk about in a little bit more detail.
So you're head of revenue management at the Q Hotels Collection, and I understand that before joining this independent group, you had previously worked with some global brands.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, I have worked for global brands covering multiple different countries in my role. And yes, my passion really came from front office to begin with, and then heading into revenue management. And I head up a team now of 13 team members, which we cover regional revenue managers, an analytics team, and also a team that help and support us with all that rate loading, making sure we're selling the right rates on the right distribution channels.
So what have you noticed is particularly the biggest differences that you have from moving from a big global international brand to now working with an independent?
We have got flexibility in terms of being able to work with different providers. So we are not restricted with certain, I suppose, preferred providers that we can work with. So yes, I do find that we have more flexibility in whether that's a standard that we can put in place within the properties or whether it is a distribution partner or a supplier that we would want to work with.
Now, revenue has been particularly challenging for all hotels, particularly across the UK. You're having to constantly balance sort of opportunity to grab profit while making sure that you're affordable for your guests. What have you been really sort of focusing on within your role over the last few years?
Well, yes, I would say growing our occupancy in particular, but making sure we have got attractive packages for our customers. And also making sure that we capture every incremental revenue we can. So whether that be pre-arrival or on arrival or even in the hotels. So not only making sure within a revenue management capacity that we have the right rates at the right time, but also we are supporting incremental revenue from our guests within the hotels.
Now, I've covered a lot when it comes to revenue, ancillary revenues, particularly how you use digital channels really to grow the spend by guests and increase the opportunity for achieving a revenue. But here we're looking at what you can actually achieve on site. On property, right? And this is an area that you are particularly interested in exploring a lot more within the collection.
Correct, yes. Making sure, as I say, that we have got the opportunities for upselling. But when we talk about guests arriving at the hotel, just to make sure that we have got a scheme to work with within the front office team. So making sure that on arrival at the hotel, that we're creating that memorable experience and we're supporting the guest stay. So during that check-in process, we want to ensure we have a not only a smooth check-in, but also an opportunity to create an experience within the hotel.
How did you notice the opportunity, therefore, to be able to capture some additional revenue and spend from the guest on their arrival and whilst on property as a revenue manager?
So when arriving in the portfolio, we didn't have a consistent upselling program, and there was different incentives that were being paid to team members. So we wanted to make sure, one, that we had visibility as well from a central point of view, so not only at the hotels, but also we wanted to support the front office team members. One, with having a structured program, but also making sure that we were training and we were developing the team of how to upsell, because we didn't have any consistency and we wanted to make sure that we were recording the upsells, but also generating the upsells too by supplying the team members with training, with talk lines, making sure we had a structured process in place for recording and for paying the incentives.
Excellent. Now, I know you worked with partner Frontline Performance Group in order to be able to have those processes and framework in place. How did you identify them as a partner in this case?
I had actually worked with them before in a previous role. We'd had success, and I thought that they were the right partner to bring into the company. We had, as I say, worked together. I knew how they did operate. I knew that they could support not only in the training, but also in the follow-up that was needed. So yes, it was an easy decision really for me, from proven track record and results that I had actually achieved with them in a previous role.
Excellent. So, I'm going to bring on Geoffrey Toffetti now, the CEO of Frontline. Geoffrey, great to have you here. And, it's really interesting. We call this, I believe, last mile revenue.
Yes, that's a phrase that we like to use. And Ryan, it's great to be with you. Hi, Gail. Yes, so we call it the last mile because it's, you think about customer journey, very popular phrase. You have the reservation, you have pre-arrival marketing. If you haven't captured the revenue by the time they arrive, it's your last opportunity from a room standpoint. I mean, there's always F&B and other types of revenue you can capture in stay during their stay. But yeah, we call it the last mile because that's basically what it is.
I mean, this has been, an area that technology companies have vastly invested in over the last few years with so many different ancillary digital marketing programs in place. But as you say, this is about you're on site, you're at the property. This is a people-driven initiative here. Is it quite a big challenge for hoteliers to really have empowered people to really understand how to achieve that additional spend by guest?
Yes, I'd say it is. Not just in hotels, in every industry we've worked in, you have people come up with a really good strategy, and then they forget that ultimately that strategy has to be implemented by a human being. In the case of ancillary or incremental revenue, anyway. So yeah, it can be a challenge to you put all the right pieces in place, but then how do you actually get people to recommend things to your guests that are going to enhance their experience and generate more revenue? You have to have, as Gail was saying, you have to have a structured framework. You have to have a process that they can follow, and you have to have things that you can train to. It can't just be, we want you to sell more. Good luck. You have to arm them with knowledge and training and support and transparency. And that's really what our mission is just to enable the front line to deliver on the strategy that the company has set.
Gail, when it came to actually implementing this at an independent hotel, as you said, the culture is really quite different, and adoption for new systems and processes can take time. So, what was a way that you initiated the project and looked at planning success?
Well, one of the key successes is how to record that upsell. So to actually work with the PMS provider, so whoever your PMS provider is, then it's key to look at that connectivity with how we can record the upsells. So that was really key at the beginning of the partnership and the project to work out how can we record or date stamp the room type that the customer had actually paid for, and then what the guest actually did stay in, and also what did they pay. So that was really important at the beginning for us to work, or for the IT teams to actually work on how can we ensure that we capture and that we remove any manual recording of upsells, and that it was automatic. It was, yes, as seamless as possible to make sure that we were recording the right upsells.
So initially it was a tech integration. It was making sure that those processes are in place. And Geoffrey, it must be quite interesting in hospitality, as you say, if you're working across different sectors, because as Gail mentions, it depends what property management system you're working with. So what do you tend to find as a best way to achieve success when you're working with so many different systems in place?
Yeah, well, I think that answer has evolved over time because now we work with so many systems that we've encountered most of them that have any scale. We still encounter some ones we've never seen before, and it is initially a data process challenge. But we have a lot of experience doing it, and it goes as far as from there are PMSs that are actually older than me, and we have to allow them to download a report and then upload it through a secure site. That's like the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is we have an API access and we can pull the data on demand, and it's everything in between. So yeah, it is a constant challenge, but we have a pretty good library. I think about 23 PMSs that we have solutions for now.
And I guess, Gail, for staff, knowing that the processes behind are going to record as and when that they've achieved that spend just gives them greater confidence. But then, as we pointed out, this is a people engaged process. So what was the next step then, once you knew that all the tech was functioning? What needed to happen at that point?
We then agreed on just 2 properties to start with to launch the program and to ensure that there was a rollout program in place. One, of course, we wanted to make sure that we measured the impact and the success of the program before we then expanded it to more hotels. So it was then key to talk to the general managers and also to the front office managers, basically to get their engagement, because it does need to be driven from the management, but they don't have to actually lead the program. So what's actually really key is to find that natural upseller. So who does it come naturally to, and who can support the program? And yes, FPG call them the champions. So identify who those champions are to then fully engage them in the program. The program itself has got great e-learning, so it doesn't all have to be done in a classroom environment. So that's also really, really important, that it doesn't have to all be off site or away from the desk. It can actually be completed as well during that downtime within reception, so the e-learning can be done actually on the job, so to speak. But yes, it's also great that there is different types of learning. So there's also one-to-one sessions that are completed. There's group online sessions as well. And with working with FPG and the support consultant, it's ongoing then as well to ensure that there is understanding of the program, any questions are answered within the program. And then what was important for me is for me to then also make sure that I have those follow-up meetings and calls with FPG to ensure there was engagement in place and making sure that there's results at the end of the day.
I mean, it's one of those things that whenever you look at changing processes or technology, there is an absolute need to have that level of engagement, those processes in place, but also empower team members, as you say, sort of have those champions internally. And particularly, as I always notice in hospitality, if any industry needs it more than another. But Geoffrey, I guess that's one of the reasons why you've got a particular approach at Frontline Performance Group, isn't it? And let's talk a bit more about how you support your clients to achieve success.
Yeah, that's our pedigree prior to COVID, we were much more slanted toward consulting and training, and the technology we were using as an internal platform. And then when COVID came and we weren't able to go on site, it forced us to sort of redefine our approach. And actually, we found that the clients were getting better long-term results without us coming on site because they were taking more ownership over the result and being able to establish those champions. It really empowered them to drive the program. But yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with people, you have to engage them where they are. And we have what we call the Corey performance equation. Our founder, Ziad Corey, it's named after him. It basically says there's three things that are going to keep hourly frontline employees motivated. One is recognition. So one of the things we built into the platform is the ability to actually like and comment on someone's performance at the KPI level, which can be very useful, and it kind of fills up the battery of the person to keep going. The other is reward, which is why we have an incentive program built in there and goal setting processes in there where they can set their own personal goals. You can also set property goals. And then accountability is the third one. So that's why you have leaderboards and you have visibility to how people are performing. And that's where the champion and the GM really become critical, is to set the expectation. So we can't tell anyone what to do. And so we need the company to say, okay, we need you to enhance our guest experiences on every check-in, and this is the process you're going to use to do it. And then those three things come into play, and that's when you can start to get, outsized results. If one of those three things aren't happening, then there's an opportunity to improve. You haven't reached your ceiling yet. And in a lot of properties, it takes months to sort of see that ramp, and you find that once the key is turned in the lock, you tend to see continuous improvement. But there's a little bit of work to change people's mindsets or get them excited or get them to understand that they can actually pay their car payment, if they sell enough, that this is a real monetary opportunity for the agents to improve their quality of life.
I mean, I always find it really interesting when I go to a hotel or anywhere and they try to upsell me, and it's always based on, the skill of who I'm talking to, how well they can easily convince me or excite me and demonstrate that value. And I guess that all comes down to how that individual themselves can, I guess, be empowered and feel comfortable with it. And I guess that's part of the hard part, isn't it? When you're dealing with people who provide hospitality, they're not natural salespeople.
Well, it's funny. There are natural salespeople, but a lot of it comes down to, I'm hired to do something, and in the job description, it doesn't mention anything about selling. Then you start to have, especially if you're implementing a program and you're retrofitting. But if the expectation is simply, you're going to inform every guest what's available to enhance their experience. You don't have to sell it to them. You just have to inform them about it. You just recommend it to them. You're not asking if they want to buy something. You're saying, I see you've arrived with 2 teenagers. You've booked a double. We have a suite available where the kids could have some of their own space at night and you could have some privacy. And that's exactly how we teach them to say it. I didn't ask them a question. I'm looking out for them. I'm saying, based on what you're doing, or because this is your wedding anniversary, we have a room that's, perfect for that. Your spouse will enjoy it. You're not asking them anything. So it's a subtlety, but sales and service are actually the same thing. If done properly, they should be the same experience.
Now, let's look at the commercial impact then, because this is all about revenue uplift and obviously making sure that the investment is paying off. Gail, so far, how many hotels are now implementing this last mile revenue approach?
We have 14 hotels now, and we're rolling out another 2 in first quarter next year.
Firstly, congratulations on that. And I'm sure it's not been an easy journey for the number of people that are involved. And how is it going? What is the impact you're seeing on that bottom line there?
We have been fortunate to see our revenues grow this year. We have enjoyed just under 40% uplift in our incremental revenue on check-in. And this doesn't just cover the bedrooms, but also on our F&B offerings as well. Our aim is obviously to grow that as we embed more of the hotels into the program. But also, when we think about that journey and some of the hotels are yet to come on board, we have targets, of course, as I'm sure you'll be aware, and that's one great thing of the program as well, to ensure we are setting targets. So we are looking for a 1% RevPAR impact, of which for next year we want to grow that to 2. We're at just 0.5% at the moment, so we have a little bit of room to grow, but that's what we're aiming for next year.
Fantastic. I mean, as you say, it's getting that ball rolling, and already seeing 40% is absolutely a stunning achievement. So well done there, and to your team. And how are the team adopting it? How do they feel about it?
The feedback has been positive because they also get to see that in their pay packet as well. And when I think that whole connection clicks into place, and of course for us as hoteliers, making sure the auditing is completed and we are paying the incentives in a timely manner, then it is very much a win-win situation in terms of that incremental revenue, and also rewarding then the team members. And hopefully, that empowers a bit more engagement as well with the team members. But yes, I would say that they're very pleased when they realise the impact that it then does have on their pay.
Excellent stuff. So, Geoffrey, I mean, across the board, what are some of the key metrics that hotels tend to look at? Gail's mentioned RevPAR there. Are there any other particular metrics that you help hotels, and what is the general impact?
Yeah, so RevPAR impact is obviously it's the universal sort of metric. We have a metric we also use called IDR, which stands for incremental daily revenue, which is essentially the portion of ADR that is represented by incremental revenue. That's important because as a percentage, we've kind of benchmarked based on the service style and type of the hotel. What should that index be? So we can do an IDR index, and it's kind of like, what percentage should you be seeing if you have a healthy program? That helps champions get a little bit more knowledgeable about the data. Obviously, conversion is an important metric. And yeah, so hotels that are mature in their journey, that have a high degree of adoption, 2% RevPAR is very achievable. In a luxury resorts, it can go as high as 4 or 5% regularly, where they have an abundance of opportunities of things to sell. In lower level or sort of limited inventory, 1% is a very meaningful objective to have. And it looks like somewhere between 2 to 6 or 8% of the gross operating profit impact, which is meaningful. Particularly if you own the hotels, it can have a significant value impact. But again, it's a journey. Some hotels we launch, and the next week they double their revenue. Others, it takes a little longer. It depends on the regional culture, depends on the tenure of the agents, the experience of the leadership, but they always improve.
And Geoffrey, then in that case, when it comes to last mile revenue, and it becoming more important really to ensure that we maximize profitability within hotels, what's the piece of advice that you give to hoteliers in managing and preparing their staff for success?
It's really, the basic thing is just set the expectation. Let them know that this is a service program. You want them to engage with their guests. We want to enhance their experiences, and we're bringing FPG to the table to help you. It's not FPG is here to tell them what to do. We're the toolkit just to enable them to make more money. We have front desk agents in some of our larger resorts around the world that are making over $100,000 a year in commission, not even including their hourly. And even in a small boutique hotel, there's no reason they can't make $400 or $500 a month, or 300 or 400 pounds a month. That can change the course of someone's life. That can get you out of debt. That can allow you to put your kid in daycare. There's just a million reasons that people can have. We launch hotels, and we see people that are living in their car when we launch the property, and then they end up getting an apartment. that kind of stuff that is very, very impactful on people. So yes, this is a people program, and we are a company focused on the people. Now, we bring technology to bear to solve problems, to help enable people to perform. But ultimately, what we want is we want the agents to be successful, which means the hotel is successful, which means the guest has a better experience. We have financial success. It's a very virtuous cycle that we're pursuing.
Thank you. And Gail, what's the piece of advice you give to other hoteliers that they might be exploring how you can uplift revenue internally?
I would say work with a partner who can support the hotel teams as a dedicated resource rather than trying to bring that into somebody else's job, but have that dedicated resource that can train, that can embed the program, making sure that they're also following up with the team members as well. So look for a partner that actually can help and support you with that instead of trying to put that onto somebody else's job as well. So having a dedicated resource, but also making sure that it is supported from the management team. It is actually embedded in the hotels, and also that we share in success. So as Geoffrey said, there is a great way on the platform that you can just even give a thumbs up in terms of somebody's results they've had so far, or you can put some comments in, giving that recognition. So it doesn't always have to be in money, but it's great that you also do see that in money, but also that it can be just, yes, a verbal thumbs up. And the leaderboards are always good. Everybody quite likes a leaderboard. So making sure that not only within the properties they see the leaderboard, but also that it's shared out as well across the hotels, because there's always a bit of healthy competition out there.
Isn't there just? That's always good to hear. Thank you indeed. So this interview came about as a result of me and Geoffrey having a conversation about really bringing this to life and having a UK hotelier. So Gail, thank you for being available and joining us from the Q Hotels collection and sharing your story, and for Geoffrey for bringing this together for us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
So I'm pleased to say that was Gail Peters and Geoffrey Toffetti talking to us about last mile revenue. More podcasts from a Hoteliers Voice series due to come as we explore more about what hoteliers are doing with their technology, work processes, and engaging their staff. I'm your host, Ryan Haynes. Thanks ever so much for listening. Ciao for now.